You can start.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Lucy spoke about, the key component of Covey's communication is to understand your audience. Personality theory explores this more in depth and looks at different personalities and how they react to different scenarios. So it looks at their needs and their means of influence. Yeah, the origins of personality theory lie with Aristotle and Hippocrates. Aristotle said that all matter can be split into hot or cold, wet or dry, and that you can distribute along this axis. Hippocrates, using this theory, then said that, well, he studied human anatomy and noticed that all humans had the same physical makeup, but that you had very distinct personalities. So he asked the question why this is so, and he came up with the theory that the reason for the different personalities is the influences of your bodily fluids or humus, as he called them. So the sanguine person, he split it into 4 different bodily fluids: sanguine, choleric, melancholic, and phlegmatic. The sanguine was influenced and characterized by the blood, which was bubbly and frothy. The choleric was influenced by the exudations of their liver, and the melancholic influenced by the contents of the gallbladder. Phlegmatic, perhaps the most uncomfortable, is influenced by phlegm. Yeah. Within the modern era, the main proponent of personality theory is Florence Latour. Not sure if that's the correct pronunciation, but she's basically taken these same categories that Hippocrates used and has applied them to a modern setting and added extra dimensions to them. So sanguine, she meant in the same manner as Hippocrates, says it's still characterized predominantly by someone seeking fun. Their primary form of influence is charm. So often a sanguine person can be identified straight away when someone says that they're such a charming personality, and inevitably that's a sanguine personality. The sanguine, in connection with this, has a strong need for attention, and often they'll need a large crowd around them or an audience to their actions. They also need approval, acceptance, and affection. The choleric influences through anger. This anger is not necessarily a violent outburst, but can also be a cold or quiet anger. So often silence and just that almost brooding effect is their form of influence over a room. Their needs are admiration for their work, but it's work that has to be deemed real or consequential. In looking at this, a lot of this theory is applied to interactions between your adults and their children. So that the admiration for real work often applies within that context, but it can be extended to your adults' relationships, where your choleric adults will only be interested in works of real substance. The other need is loyalty. And this extends to the people around them as well, so they will also in turn be very loyal friends to those around them. And interesting extra need is the need to assign blame. So if something goes wrong, they very much need to point a finger or to know the cause of that blame, and for there to be accountability or responsibility for that. Your melancholic person influences through mood. So they'll just be very sullen if something isn't going their way. They need space, silence, sensitivity, and support. So it's often you're very quiet. You'll view them as withdrawn, but at the same time a very sensitive person. Phlegmatic is the last one. It's Yeah, and in recent times, some people have adapted personality theory and they've actually removed phlegmatic and said that it is no personality. Being one myself, I kind of disagree, but phlegmatic means is peace is what they're characterized by, and they're strongly influenced by the need for peace within with their daily interactions. Their form of influence is very subtle, and it's through procrastination. So often, if a phlegmatic person doesn't want to do something, they will simply quietly fade into the background with the reasoning that if I don't do it, someone else will do it and everything will be fine. Surely if I leave it alone for long enough, it will sort itself out. So in line with that, one of their primary needs is to avoid confrontation. They also have a strong need for a sense of self-worth and a sense of value. So how does a personality theory apply for us? Personality theory looks at how we interact with each other, and understanding the needs and the motivations that all of us have. It allows us to relate to each other in a more understanding way. So the author, for example, looks at someone who is choleric and who's strongly influenced by the need for control. So the example that the author uses is to say that when they wake up in the morning, they'll automatically want to know exactly how the day is going to be planned out, whereas a fun, sanguine person will simply just want to be involved and to be having fun the whole time. So it does not mean that the sanguine person is more excited about the day or less excited. It's just their different personalities reacting in different ways. At the same time, a melancholic person reflecting on the day at the end of the day might point out things that went wrong and say, this didn't happen today, I didn't get to swim, or I didn't have a sweet today, something like that. It does not mean that they've had a bad day. It simply means that they notice the things that are missing from their day rather than notice the things that are perfect about their day. At the same time, a phlegmatic person with their procrastination is a subtle thing that will quite easily be missed if you're not aware of a person's personality and noticing how they are avoiding confrontation. Yeah, so within a business environment, this obviously has very direct applicable needs. If you can identify personality, you can identify firstly how that person is going to seek to exert control or influence, and you can identify the needs that individual has, but also their weaknesses. At the same time, a leader will be able to recognize those same characteristics within themselves and address them. A sanguine person is often referred to as the more natural leader. Okay, Greg will talk later about the introvert as a leader, and this contradicts that.
Hi everyone, I'm going to be talking about attractions and combinations. So before we move on, let's just quickly recap the 4 different temperaments so we can relate them to the ones that we see. So if we see on the slides, there are 4 different types of personality, and the general areas are most likely that they are suited to. There's the sanguine, the melancholic, the choleric, and the phlegmatic. So we can see that each personality attracts types of professions and potential hobbies. And for this section, we'll be looking at personality attractions and personality combinations. So we'll start with attractions. There's a saying that opposites attract, but the reason for this is not really known. The most accepted reason for why opposites attract is that personalities between 2 people with opposite personalities tend to balance each other out. Both of the 2 people admire the other types of personalities. They say that opposites attract, but the question is, why do opposites attract? Perhaps we're like magnets. Do we specifically look for different people that have the same personality to us, or do we look for someone whose personality is the opposite of ours? This very concept has been argued around for many centuries, but still saying that opposites attract it might be felt true. When we are out in search for new friends or a partner, we tend to look for someone that has an opposite personality to us. It is suspected that the reason we search for opposites is in an attempt to fulfill a gap that exists in our very own personality range. We generally tend to be drawn to those personalities that differ to ours in a way that complement or complete our personality. We tend to admire the characteristics that we see in the other person as we realize that we do not have them. For example, think of our parents and how their personalities work together. An example of this would be how perhaps the one would be more in tune to the fine attention of details and appreciates the admiration that is given for the work that they have done, whereas the other might see the bigger picture and aim for the final outcome. This is not wrong, but simply a different approach to the scenario. The objective here would be to achieve the final goal and have as much fun as possible attempting to do so. These two people are opposite in personality, but there's a difference that exists between them that is a cause for them to be drawn together on a subconscious level. When it comes to two people with the same type of personality, opposite of what was just said is true. In this scenario, if two people both have a choleric personality, will most likely be able to work with each other and perhaps not even move on the same social circle. For example, these two people, both with choleric personality, would want to assume control of the situation, regardless of what it is, and would not like the idea of being told what to do and how to do things. It can be seen here that as both of them are wanting to be in control and might have different methods of doing it, the same tasks and the inevitable results is that a conflict would form between them. Potentially, the best personality match between people is when opposite personalities are brought together and combined in order to complement each other and bring the best of each personality out to the surface. I'll be moving on to combinations. Combinations of personalities in a single person. Combinations of personalities in people often occur when a person's specific personality cannot simply be defined as a single type, but rather a combination of two or more different personalities. These combinations of personalities generally complement each other one another. Although more than one personality might be present, there's normally only one or two that are predominantly present and make up the majority of the personality that person has. These combinations of the different personalities are normally present in order to balance out a single personality from being overly prominent. We are unable to choose the personality of our children. However, we are able to influence it to a certain extent. Children are born with a certain type of personality, but this doesn't mean that it cannot be affected by the influences of those around them. Parents in particular have the ability to greatly influence those around them and their children. Parents in particular have the ability, this is achieved from the child spending time with the parents. The child picks up habits that influence them, and then this, to a small extent, affects their personality. An example of this would be as a father is choleric. The mother is phlegmatic, and the child might be born with a sanguine personality. If the child spends large amounts of time with the choleric father, the child would be influenced by what the father does, and then starts doing it himself. The child might then adopt a personality of a sanguine and choleric. We have more control of what a child's personality will be when they are a child than what people currently think they have. So the ending, in conclusion, people tend to look for other people with different personalities than their own and attempt to potentially complement their own personality, while at the same time they tend to admire the very opposite personality of their own. A person's personality, although set from birth, can be influenced to a small extent to adapt to various influences from those that we surround ourselves with on a daily basis. We say that we admire a person's character, but in addition to that, we admire the person's personality and try to see if their personality would complement your own. We all have theoretical gaps in our personalities and all merely searching for people that have the ability to fill these theoretical holes with their personality. Thank you. Sorry, that was-
No, it's good.
Cool. So I'm going to be talking about introverted leadership. So many people believe that leadership requires one to be charismatic, gregarious, and commanding, which leads one to assume that a good leader is an extrovert, as they are more likely to display the above characteristics. However, this has shown that this is not necessarily true, as a study recently showed that 40% of top executives are introverted. It is important to note that when talking about introversion, someone isn't necessarily talking about someone that is shy, but rather somebody who finds social interaction draining if done in large groups, spends more time with a small circle of friends that they are close to, enjoys solitude and thinking alone, and gets energy from time spent alone. And Jennifer Conwheeler lists 5 reasons as to why introverts are great leaders. So the first is that they think before they act. And this kind of ties into what was said earlier about Covey and empathetic listening, in that they think about other people's comments carefully and then reflect upon the comments and actively try to understand what the other person is saying and their point of view. As they actively listen in a non-judgmental way, people are also more willing to express their ideas to them. In addition, as they are quiet, most people will listen when an introvert speaks, as the comment will likely be well thought out and well reasoned. So the second major point is that they focus on depth. Introverts are likely to explore a topic in depth. Furthermore, they will also explore this topic abstractly, and therefore they will approach it with an open mind and search for multiple alternatives. This results in them engaging in meaningful conversations with people, so as to further come up with a solution or discover new points of interest. I think a very good example of this can be seen with Alan Gray, who founded Alan Gray Investments. So he's an investment banker who is very successful in South Africa. He's a very private individual, but it has been indicated that he is obsessed with finding out all there is to know about business before determining whether to invest in it or not. He would look at the financials of a company, but he would also visit the company and personally speak to top executives. Following this, he would then speak to less senior employees and ask them what they thought of the business, the CEO, and whether they liked working there, which enabled him to get a holistic view of the company. The third major point is that they are calm. They are low-key and therefore project a reassuring, calm confidence in a crisis situation. This is due to the fact that they speak with purpose and clarity, but also deliver their message softly, slowly, and deliberately. Therefore, people gain a clear understanding of what to do and do not feel threatened. Their even temper also facilitates a peaceful and composed atmosphere. The fourth point is that they let their fingers do the talking. They prefer to type and write their speeches and questions down on a piece of paper, which they then take hours to practice. Therefore, they are well prepared when they have to make a speech or when they have to deliver a meeting. This also helps them to better articulate their ideas. Furthermore, by documenting their actions, they can see where they went right or wrong, and they can view their thought process at the time when the decision was made, which can then use this information to make better decisions in the future. The fifth point is that they embrace solitude. As they are energized by spending time alone, they take time outs and retreat to a calm surrounding that they are familiar with. Here they think about creative business solutions as well as key decisions they need to take. I think that this was quite similar to what we learned earlier in the semester about still waters, whereby our best and most creative ideas occur in a peaceful and relaxed environment with few distractions. Lastly, when thinking about the solution, they will think in the long term. As a result, the solution will more likely have a long-term positive effect on the company, and they won't take short-term decisions that they can only benefit from, but will further jeopardize the company. I think a very good example of an introverted leader is Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett is one of the most successful investors to date, and a lot of his introverted qualities helped him become successful. Part of success is being able to make sense of abstract concepts in a logical way. This is useful as many perceive the stock market to be extremely abstract and complicated, with many different confusing terms and concepts. He also sets long-term goals and therefore has a long-term view towards investing, which is known as value investing. Here he invests in companies he believes will do well in the long term, and is thus not focused on making a quick profit. Lastly, the workplace at Berkshire Hathaway is decentralized. This means that Buffett lets his employees do the work they are required to do. They report to him, and if they need help, he will ask what they need help with, and together they will work on a solution. So to conclude, the above information isn't to say that one needs to be introverted to be a good leader, but rather that introverts and the general qualities they possess can be helpful in business and in leadership. This is important as it's often considered that introverted people do not have personalities suited to leadership. However, we hope the above proves otherwise. Furthermore, if you are introverted and have a particular weakness, you can also partner up with an extrovert to counteract the weakness. I think this was seen with Bill Gates, who partnered with Steve Ballmer as he was more extroverted and could therefore get employees rallied up and excited about the product, which is something that Gates was not great at given that he was introverted.